Stop scrolling. This message has been searching for you, the man who walks through his front door to silence so thick it has weight. The one who sets the table for one and has memorized the sound of his own footsteps echoing through empty rooms. This isn't random. You didn't stumble here by accident through the maze of digital noise. Heaven has been orchestrating this moment, this collision between your unspoken questions and my timely answer. Do you feel that stirring in your chest right now? That is recognition. Your spirit knows this voice, knows these words were crafted specifically for the ache you have been carrying. I need you to stay until the very last word, because what I am about to reveal isn't just encouragement, it is transformation. The answer you have been searching for at 3 a.m. when loneliness feels like drowning in your own bed. When the silence becomes so loud, it screams that answer is hidden in what comes next. I see you, not the version you present to the world with carefully rehearsed smiles and practiced responses to "how are you doing?" I see the real you, the one who watches couples in restaurants and wonders what fundamental flaw makes him unworthy of that simple joy. The one who is exhausted from well-meaning friends asking, "When are you going to find someone?" as if your life is a movie stuck on pause until romance validates your existence. I saw you last Friday night when you came home to that quiet apartment, kicked off your shoes, and felt the weight of solitude press against your chest like a physical thing, like gravity had suddenly doubled just for you. I was there Sunday morning when you sat in church surrounded by families and couples, feeling like an island in an ocean of belonging. I watched you count the couples during worship, calculating your isolation in real time. I noticed how you have started avoiding certain gatherings because you are tired of being the only one without a plus. One, tired of conversations that make you feel like a project that needs fixing. Tired of being introduced as my friend who is still single, as if that is your primary identity. I caught every thought that whispered maybe I am just not enough when another dating attempt dissolved into disappointment. When another text conversation faded into digital silence. I saw you delete and rewrite that message 17 times, trying to find words that didn't sound desperate. I was there when you finally gave up and deleted it all. I witnessed that moment in the grocery store when you realized you had been buying food for one for so many years that you had forgotten what it is like to consider someone else's preferences. I felt the sting when your mother asked again if you are seeing anyone special, and you had to swallow the words that wanted to scream back. Don't you think I would tell you if I was? But let me tell you what you cannot see from your vantage point. What looks like abandonment is actually divine appointment. While the world measures you by who holds your hand, I am measuring the strength growing in your solitude, strength that coupled men may never discover because they have never had to face their demons without using another person as a shield. You think you are falling behind, but you are actually being prepared for something that required this exact season of aloneness. Remember Moses. Not the Moses who parted the Red Sea that came later. I am talking about the Moses who spent 40 years in the wilderness. Not 40 days of fasting, 40 years of obscurity, 4 decades of sheep, sand, and silence. No companion to validate his worth, no audience for his pain, no one to tell him he was destined for greatness. Just him and the vastness of my presence, wrestling with rejection, failure, and questions that had no answers. The Prince of Egypt became a nobody shepherd. The world would have called him forgotten, written him off as another could have been, but I was forging a deliverer in that desert. Every lonely night was hammering out the arrogance that would have crumbled under the weight of leading a nation. Every silent sunrise was teaching him to hear my voice above the noise of human opinion. When I finally spoke from that burning bush, I wasn't talking to the same man who fled Egypt in fear. I was commissioning a man whose strength had been purified in solitude, whose identity had been reconstructed in isolation. Look at Joseph, really. Look at him, sold by his brothers at 17, betrayed by blood, falsely accused by Potiphar's wife, forgotten by the cupbearer. Where was his support system? Where was the woman to believe in his dreams when everyone else called him delusional? He had nothing but chains and my promises. Years passed. Not months, years. In that dungeon of isolation, most men would have become bitter, would have cursed God, and embraced cynicism. But Joseph, he was being forged into something the palace couldn't produce: character that could handle power without corruption, wisdom that comes only from wrestling with abandonment and choosing trust anyway. When he finally stood before Pharaoh, he wasn't just interpreting dreams. He was displaying the dignity that only comes from surviving hell with heaven in your heart. Even my own son, yes. Jesus himself walked much of his journey alone before he could heal the multitudes. Before he could speak life to the dead, he had to face the devil in isolation. No disciples yet. No crowds cheering him on. No human voice to encourage him. Just 40 days of hunger, solitude, and spiritual warfare. Satan threw everything at him in that wilderness, and he had no one to lean on but the Father. The same voice that would later calm storms and raise the dead was first strengthened in the silence of that desert. The same hands that would break bread for thousands first learned to grasp nothing but prayer. You have been wondering if something's broken in you. Let me be clear. You are not a defective model. You are not missing some essential piece. You are not God's second-string player waiting on the bench. The enemy wants you to believe that manhood requires a woman's validation, that your worth is measured by your relationship status, that you are somehow incomplete without romantic love. But that is a lie designed to make you desperate, to make you grasp at any relationship just to fill the void, to make you settle for less than my best because you are terrified of being alone. The truth, you were created whole, complete, entire. When I formed you in your mother's womb, when I breathed my own breath into your lungs, I didn't design you as half a person waiting for someone else to complete the picture. I declared you good, not good enough until you find someone. Not good, but would be better with a girlfriend. But good, period, full stop. No asterisk. Your masculinity isn't proven by romance. It is forged in the fires of obedience, tested in the crucible of trust, refined in the silence where only my voice speaks. Paul understood this. This man who wrote letters that would shape the faith of billions, who planted churches and performed miracles, did it all as a single man, not incomplete, powerfully whole. He didn't write from a place of lack, but from overflow. He called singleness a gift, not a curse, a chance to run without looking back, to serve without divided attention. While others were navigating the beautiful complexity of marriage, he was free to be shipwrecked for the gospel, imprisoned for truth, beaten for the message that would outlive empires. His singleness wasn't his weakness, it was his superpower. But I know the loneliness is real. I am not minimizing the ache you feel when you cook dinner for one again, when you wake up on Saturday morning with no one to share your plans, when you come home to tell someone about your day, and remember there is no one there. That emptiness isn't imagination, it is the space where I am doing my deepest work. Because here is what you need to understand. Sometimes I empty your hands so I can fill your heart. Sometimes I clear the noise so you can hear the frequency of heaven. Sometimes I remove the distractions so you can discover who you really are when you are not performing for anyone. In this solitude, you are learning things that coupled men might never discover. You are learning to be comfortable with yourself, to face your demons without using another person as a shield. You are discovering that joy doesn't require an audience, that peace doesn't need a witness, that your worth isn't determined by who chooses you, but by who created you. You are being trained to stand when no one is watching, to worship when no one harmonizes with your voice, to keep going when there is no one to impress. The world is loud with its opinions about your singleness. Family members drop hints that feel like bombs. Society schedules your worth like you are past your expiration date. Dating apps promise to solve your supposed problem while actually commodifying your loneliness. Every romantic movie, every couple's post on social media, every wedding invitation feels like an indictment of your life. But in the middle of that noise, can you hear what I am saying? This season isn't a mistake. It is not punishment for some hidden flaw. It is not me forgetting about you while I play matchmaker for everyone else. It is preparation for a weight of glory that requires uncommon strength. I have watched you grow in this furnace of solitude. You have developed a prayer life that men in relationships might envy, not because you have more time, but because you have learned to fill your loneliness with my presence instead of just another person's proximity. You have cultivated strength that doesn't lean on someone else's affirmation. You have built an identity that doesn't crumble when you are alone on Friday night. You have discovered that I am enough, not in theory, not as a platitude, but as lived experience. But here is where the enemy tries to twist the knife. He will make you believe that embracing your singleness means giving up on love, that accepting this season means resigning yourself to permanent solitude, that finding peace in your aloneness means you have to pretend you don't want companionship. That is not what I am saying. I am not calling you to build walls around your heart or to stop hoping for love. I am calling you to stop making an idol out of it. When companionship becomes your God, it clouds your vision. When finding the one becomes your primary mission, you miss the one who has been with you all along. Some of you have been so focused on who is missing from your life that you have missed who is present. You have been so desperate for horizontal love that you have neglected the vertical relationship that actually sustains you. You have given away pieces of your soul to people who were never meant to hold them, all because you were terrified of being alone. Let me tell you about idolatry, the kind that doesn't look like golden calves or stone statues. It looks like checking dating apps with more faithfulness than you read my word. It looks like compromising your standards because something is better than nothing. It looks like letting your mood be determined by whether someone texted you back. It looks like believing that your life cannot really begin until you find her. That is not love, that is desperation dressed up in romantic clothing. This is your moment of decision. Will you trust my timing, even when it doesn't match your expectations? Will you believe that I am good, even in the silence? Will you let me finish what I have started in this sacred season of solitude? Will you stop treating your singleness like a disease that needs curing and start seeing it as a divine assignment that needs stewarding? Because here is what I promise, and my promises never fail. I am not wasting your time. Every Friday night alone, every wedding you attend solo, every moment you wonder if you will always be by yourself, none of it is wasted. I am building something in you that can only be constructed in solitude. A depth of character that shallow relationships would have prevented. A strength of spirit that codependency would have weakened. A clarity of purpose that divided attention would have clouded. Think about this. Every great man in Scripture had a wilderness season. Abraham waited 25 years for his promise. David spent years running from Saul, sleeping in caves, wondering if the prophetic word over his life was just a cruel joke. John the Baptist lived in the desert eating locusts and honey, preparing for a ministry that would last only months but impact eternity. Even married men like Hosea experienced profound loneliness within relationship, learning that human love, no matter how deep, cannot fill a God-shaped void. Some of you, I am preparing for a love story that required this long preparation. The woman I have for you isn't ready yet. She is in her own wilderness, facing her own demons, learning her own lessons. If I brought her to you now, you had destroy each other with your mutual brokenness. If I allowed you to find each other in your current state, you would make each other an idol and miss the very purpose I created you both for. Your paths will cross at exactly the right moment, not when you are desperate for anyone, but when you are whole enough to choose wisely, when you can love from overflow rather than emptiness. Others of you I am calling to a different kind of story. A Paul-like journey where your singleness becomes your strength, where your undivided attention accomplishes things that divided hearts cannot. This isn't second best, it is a holy calling that not everyone is strong enough to carry. It is a sacred trust, a divine strategy, a kingdom weapon that hell fears because it represents complete devotion to me. But for all of you right now in this moment, I am asking you to surrender the timeline. Stop measuring your life by what hasn't happened yet. Stop letting comparison steal your contentment. Stop believing the lie that you are alone. You are never alone. I am closer than your next breath, more constant than your heartbeat, more faithful than the sunrise. The dawn is breaking on your situation. What felt like rejection was redirection. What looked like delay was preparation. What seemed like loneliness was actually a divine invitation into deeper intimacy with me. The very thing you have been running from, solitude, is the doorway to everything you have been running toward: purpose, peace, and power. I want to tell you what is coming, but first, you need to understand what is happening right now. In this very moment, as you read these words, heaven is watching, angels are taking note. The cloud of witnesses is leaning in because a man who chooses to trust God in his loneliness is demonstrating a faith that moves heaven. You are not just waiting, you are warring. Every day you choose contentment over bitterness. You are winning battles in the spiritual realm. Every time you worship instead of wallow, you are building a testimony that will outlive you. Your singleness is not a flaw to be fixed, but a season to be stewarded. And how you steward it matters more than you know. Because the man you become in solitude is the man you will be in relationship. The habits you build now, the character you develop now, the intimacy with me you cultivate. Now these are the foundations of your future, whether that future includes marriage or not. So lift your head, square your shoulders. Step into the fullness of who you are right now, not who you will be when you find someone, but who you are in this very moment. The world needs what you carry. Your singleness has given you gifts that marriage might have delayed: focus, flexibility, availability, depth. Use them, deploy them. Stop waiting for life to begin and realize it already has. And when you lay your head down tonight in that quiet room, remember this: you are not forgotten. You are not overlooked. You are not incomplete. You are held by the one who numbers the stars and calls them each by name. The same God who parted seas and raised the dead is intimately involved in your story. Your loneliness is not bigger than His love. Your questions are not greater than His wisdom. Your timeline is not better than His. You want to know if you are chosen or forgotten? Let me answer definitively: you are chosen. Chosen for this exact path, chosen for this specific journey, chosen to display a kind of faith that trusts even when it doesn't understand, that hopes even when it hurts, that stands even when standing alone. Your journey continues, your purpose remains, your value is unchangeable. Whether love finds you tomorrow or whether you walk this assignment solo until heaven, you are eternally, completely, powerfully loved. You are seen, you are known, you are held, you are enough. Now walk in that truth, live in that reality. The man who finds his identity in me lacks nothing, absolutely nothing, not because he doesn't desire companionship, but because he has discovered something deeper, that I am the only one who can truly satisfy the longing of the human heart. This is your time, not to wait for someone else to validate your existence, but to become everything I created you to be. The world is watching, heaven is cheering, and I am with you every single step of the way. You are not alone, you never were, you never will be, and that changes everything.